All right, welcome back to Comp 229 Web Application Development. It's week 3, part 4 of our video series. We're still talking about the Express generator, and now we're going to get into routing. Just a knowledge and technical requirements check. Again, we expect everything from here in terms of technical requirements at this point, as well as from a knowledge perspective, we're expecting at this point for you to have a bit better understanding of the Express generator site and how it's structured. At the end of this video, what we're going to cover is routing, how to do general routing with Express, how to add new routes, how to remove routes, as well as that the Express generator creates a SPA or a single page application. You should understand that that's happening at the end of this video. Let's get going. All right, so last we left off, we had this structure, and if you notice up online, we had this main heading and hello world. That's pretty boring. We want to add some additional routes. So let's do that in the index.js route area. Right now we have one route, which is our, to get the home page, which is our main route. We're going to install other things in here eventually to change what the home page looks like. We're going to use Bootstrap and Font Awesome eventually. But for now, we're just going to add additional routes. Let's just make this a little better. I'm going to get rid of this main heading. This was just for an example for last time. I'm going to leave the title in there, which I like. Okay, so we're going to just streamline this a little bit, put it back to the way it was before. Okay, so this is how it looked before. I'm going to copy these 4 lines here and copy them and then paste them just a couple of times, maybe 5 times. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 times. So this, we're going to make a 5-page site here. So home, about, maybe we don't need all 5. Products, this is where that's going to go. Services, about us, and contact us. Those are the very common sites. And your first assignment in this course is you're going to make an Express portfolio. You should already have that assignment and you should be working on that. It's due next week. Alright, so instead of this all being the same, let's change the titles here. So for the title for the main site should be home. That should be the title. The title for the about page, now you can see that that's the new route, about, right? That should be, we can use about. And the same thing goes with products. Be careful about the uppercase, lowercase stuff. You should try and make this so it's all lowercase. So this is products. This is services. And this is, do we have 2 abouts? We do. About us. And we have an about. Let's get rid of this. We have 2 of them. That's fine. So we have a contact page here. Contact. And make sure this is contact us. Alright, so that is, notice that the template, the target for the template hasn't changed. We're still going to use this index.ejs, this thing right here. We're just going to inject different parts to it. I'm going to use, instead of main heading, we're not going to use an H1 in here with main heading. We're going to use welcome to, and then whatever it's going to be called. So welcome to, and then we're going to say that if it's, for example, the home page, we're going to use that title that we're going to inject there. Hello world is a paragraph we're going to get rid of for now, and that's what our template's going to look like right now. Okay? Let's get back to our index.js. So we've made a bunch of routes. So the routes start off with a slash. This is the root route, or the main route. But what about if I put home? That would fail. There isn't a home route in here. So we could add one. So I could say that, make another route. It's going to do the same thing, like so. But we're also going to create a home route, just in case someone was to type in home or slash, it'll take us to the exact same spot. Notice that there's 2 different functions, if you will, or that can hit the same thing. And later on, we might be able to use another folder or function that's outside of this to make things go. One thing to note is that here we're not really doing model view controller framework. We have our views separated here, but our logic is tied into our router, and that's not really great. What we really want to do here is split off our routes eventually and from our logic and create a controllers folder, which we're going to do probably next week. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. So let's see how this works. So I'm going to save this thing and let's go back out and see what it looks like. So if I refresh now, you can see now it says welcome to home. You know, so welcome to home may not be the most descriptive thing. Let's just fix that. So welcome to the home page. Welcome to the blank and then space page. Why? Blank is the stuff that's being injected. Think about this as interpolation. I'm taking up a variable and I'm injecting it right in here. And this variable title is coming from the object from my that I've put in here. I can have different objects filled with different things. The challenge is if I'm using the same template and I use objects with different properties, it's going to fail, right? Because it's going to listen for a property that exists. It's not going to know which of these routes is activating the template. So that's why these are all very similar. And you're going to see that you might think this is all wasteful, and we'll talk about this later on. And you might also think, wait, if I have to define every single route on my site, that could be pretty tedious. And the answer is it can be. And that's why we have the option to create static sites or static routes as well with our express static that we saw last week. So if you're, or the last video. So if you look at that in the app.js, under app.js, we can also use this express static syntax to add routes that are automatic, so we don't have to do any of that custom routing ourselves. However, we're not going to do that in this course. Everything that we're going to do is with custom routing. Okay, cool. So that is definitely what we want to do. Let's test this out now and see if it works. Make sure that everything is saved here. You can also go up here if there's nothing. If there's something that needs to be saved, for example, you can come up into Visual Studio Code and save all. But if we go back out to our site, you can see now that it says, okay, home, welcome to the home page. If I type in about, welcome to the about page. If I type in contact, welcome to the contact page. And this is getting pretty tedious. If I type in products or services, you can see that I'm going to get those pages. Right, so there we go, products and services. So that's how routing works. So it looks like when you look at the URL that I'm hitting actually different sites. But what's really happening is that I'm composing this page. And if I actually do a page source, let's do a view page source. You can see that that's all that there is. It's creating a body, this, kind of, some stuff in here, which is the bare bones minimum that we need to compose an HTML sheet. And this is done through JavaScript, actually. So it's this HTML code is actually being injected into our main page through JavaScript. So very interesting. And limiting in some ways too. All right, cool. So that's this. We need some kind of navigation. That would be nice because right now we're doing everything from scratch, and it can get pretty annoying. But the first thing we want to do, we're going to do navigation because that's part of routing. Is I want to just change up our little HTML structure a little bit. This template needs to be just revamped a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to scroll down all the way, or space down, change this from EJS to HTML, just to give us some more hinting support. That's what this does. It doesn't really change anything, just change the way that Visual Studio sees this thing, Visual Studio Code. Then I'm going to type the word, or the key sequence, HTML5, which adds additional stuff like character set information, as well as viewport, our viewport meta tag, which allows to scale for different sizes viewports, which is really great in this modern Web 3.0 world. We need to replace the title. I like the title that we had, so we'll just take the title and put it inside of our title. We'll keep that part as we change this up. I'll keep the H1 tag for now, put that in there, and I'll keep my script tag for now and put that in there. I also want to keep the link tag that we have here and put that over here. And I want to give we can get rid of this now. And so this is our new structure. what I can also do is add an HTML comment. So this is our CSS section. And I want to also have this part as my front line or client side JavaScript section. All right. So this is only frontline or front side scripting, client side scripting that we're going to be doing here. So everything you did in your Comp 125 course, you can do right here, okay, or through here. So that's what this does. But we really would like to add a navigation bar and some other stuff. For this, I'm going to turn to the Bootstrap framework, and to get to the Bootstrap framework, you go to getbootstrap.com. That's the site, getbootstrap.com. And you could have done this with me if you were in our Comp 125 class. If you didn't, try and follow along as best as possible. What we want to do is we want to use install Bootstrap just like this, npm install Bootstrap. Okay, so let's do that now. I'm going to go back to here, control backtick, and I'm going to fire up another terminal. I'm going to keep this one going, and I'm going to fire another terminal by clicking the plus button. So here's a new terminal. So I have more than one. I can have this one here, as well as this one here. I can have two. And I can type in the keywords npm install Bootstrap. Now this is going to be a dependency, so we're going to put in -- save. Now this is a different type of dependency. This is a front-end dependency. So notice in our package.json, even though it shows Bootstrap as a dependency, it's not back-end dependency, like for example that we use with Node.js and Express. It's on the front end. We're going to use Bootstrap for the front. Okay, cool. Let's do the next one. We also want to add in jQuery, npm install, because Bootstrap requires jQuery for now. jQuery -- save. Okay. As well as popper.js, npm install popper.js -- save. There we go. And I also want Font Awesome, which is a really cool font icon framework. So if I go to Font Awesome gives us, and they've got Font Awesome 6 right now, but Font Awesome gives us some great icons we can use with our website. Okay, so for example, I want to use the home icon to make our home page look really nice. We can do that by going to the home icon here, and we'll get a little bit of a code that we can add in, which is right here. We can click on this and make this go. But for now, we have to install it first. So let's go back and install it. So again, it's npm install @fortawesome /font-awesome. I think it's Font Awesome free. Let's check this out. That is always something I forget. So @fortawesome Font Awesome free. This is the one. So it's Font Awesome, one word, that we have to use. @fortawesome /font awesome free. By the way, if you ever want to install npm packages, you can always go to npmjs.com and look for any packages you want. For example, if I wanted to look at the Express generator here, we could look at that package. And you can also see things like, if I went to Express generator, how popular it is, how many downloads it has weekly, as an example, and what the GitHub homepage is for this project. Okay, that's what this does for us, if we really wanted to. Okay, but we don't want that. We want the Font Awesome. This is the one we want, this link here. So I could literally copy this right here if I want to and paste it in, or I can just type it. So let's go back and just fix that. So Font Awesome -free -- save. And that gives us our Font Awesome. This is pretty cool. And now what we can do is inside of our index.ejs, let's configure so it can work. We're not going to do it in this video. We're not going to add in our navigation in this video. We're just going to configure it for now. So in other words, get Bootstrap working for us. So again, to make Bootstrap work, we're going to be using node modules, right? Node modules are way out here, but node modules are something that is part of our framework. If you look at the app.js, you can see that views are here and public is here, but node modules is not. If I want to search for things in my node modules, then you notice that I'd have to include that as a join, a path join. Okay, that's what I can do. So I can set the path to node modules as part of my, so I don't have to put in node modules every single time. Otherwise, I'd have to put node modules inside of my routing, right? Which is kind of ugly. So let's do an app.use. We'll do an express.static. Okay. We're going to put in a path.join. And we're going to join up our main directory, the place where we search, with node_modules. So node modules is something we're going to be able to look for, and we're going to include this in the path, and this way I don't have to always search for it. I'm going to save that. Cool, so now that I've done this, I can include node modules without calling the node modules folder. It's just included in our path. So I can go back to our index.ejs and just type something that looks like this. So this is our custom style sheet, but we want to use our style sheet from Bootstrap. And if you don't know where it is, you can look at Bootstrap. Here's Bootstrap inside of node modules. We want to go to Bootstrap dist, and then we want to go to CSS, bootstrap.min.css, to include the CSS file in there. All right, so it's going to be, let's just wipe this out, start typing, /bootstrap/dist/CSS/ and let's open that up, bootstrap.min.css, .min.css. There it is. So that is the site. So that's how I found this. Where am I getting this from? I found it by going into node modules. I don't have to mention node modules because it's on our path. I'm into Bootstrap, into dist folder, into the CSS folder, and I'm looking at the minified version of our CSS file, bootstrap.min.css, and I'm attaching it. Wonderful. Let's do the same thing with Font Awesome. Font Awesome is actually at Fort Awesome up here. At Fort Awesome CSS, and it's all .min.css we want to use here. So I'm going to do that. I just want to say link. Again, I'm still in HTML version. That's why I'm getting this feedback. If you're in EJS, you wouldn't get this completion. So /@FortAwesome, right? /font awesome free, right? /CSS, right? CSS /all.min.css, and that's the CSS for my fonts as well as for Bootstrap. Okay, so that's the CSS stuff, but we have to activate the scripts to make Bootstrap work. We need two of them, jQuery as well as a Bootstrap script itself. Let's get jQuery first. So I'm going to go to jQuery right here. So again, it would be script source, right? And then / we want jQuery, and then /dist, if I can type in jQuery properly, /dist /jQuery.min.js. So jQuery.min.js. There. And now finally we need Bootstrap. So script source, and I'm going to go back up to Bootstrap. Instead of going into the CSS folder, we're going to go into the JS folder. So it's going to be very similar to this route, but without CSS, we'll change this to JS. So we'll grab this whole thing, put that in there, and this will be JS, and it'll be bootstrap.min.js. And there we go. There we have it. We have all of our dependencies to make Bootstrap and Font Awesome work, which we're going to make happen in the next video. Okay. So we're going to save this, and if we go back out, let's test it to make sure it doesn't mess up. So we're going to go back out to here, and if I refresh now, you can see that we're getting a different font set that we did before. This is Bootstrap working for you. You see that it changed to almost like an Arial type or sans serif type font. All right. So again, if you look at things like, if I go to my home page, you can see that Welcome to Home Page has a different font than we did before. This is a good indicator that Bootstrap is activated. Okay, guys, that's all we're going to do for today. So to recap, what did we do? We talked about a couple things. We talked about how we needed to structure the front end so we can have eventually some really good routing and some navigation. We added routes inside of our routes. Let me just get back in there for you. Inside of our routes folder, we structured some routes in here, and they looked almost identical. It says home, home. We can two ways to get to the home page, the slash and home. About, products, services, contact. Those are all the different routes. And what we did was we configured the title property of each of these anonymous objects so that when they get injected into the index template, which is this one right here, index.ejs template, it injects different content in here every single time. In that way, this isn't really using multiple pages, but actually using a single page and injecting content inside there. So therefore, it's a single page application, and we're using Ajax, and of course, we're using things like server-side scripting to inject our content into the page. Okay, that's it for me for this video. And then in the next video, we'll talk about how to do some basic navigation with Bootstrap, and we'll add some font awesome icons. Thank you.